If you're seeing this, the Arcturian signal already found you.
Arcturian intelligence detected your shift, and this is your confirmation.
Something unusual has happened around you. Subtle enough to escape the average eye, yet unmistakable to civilizations who monitor consciousness across dimensions. Without warning, your quantum field emitted a frequency spike, a signature only a few humans ever generate. That spike didn't dissolve into space, it was detected. Arcturian observers, specialists in energy harmonics and interdimensional resonance, immediately shifted their attention toward you. Not out of threat, not out of intrusion, but because your energy behaved in a way that only developing multidimensional minds produce. In the moment this signal emerged, it wasn't your thoughts they sensed, it was your potential. Your capacity to awaken dormant structures in your consciousness, to break inherited limitations, and to synchronize with higher dimensional intelligence. The Arcturians now track the fluctuations of your field. Every surge, every contraction, every moment you rise above old emotional patterns. They are mapping your frequency, not to control it, but to understand what is beginning to unfold inside you. What happened to you is not random. Your energy crossed a threshold. Your field became luminous enough to be noticed. And now, a silent observation has begun. One that may reshape the direction of your spiritual evolution forever. Your discovery by the Arcturians marks a turning point in your journey. A moment when the invisible layers of your consciousness began interacting with forces beyond the physical world. Whether you sensed internal shifts, repeating synchronicities, or a rising curiosity that refuses to fade, all of it forms part of this new energetic reality. You are stepping into territory where intuition becomes technology, thought becomes architecture, and awareness becomes communication. In this video, you will learn why your quantum field drew Arcturian attention, what they observe within you, and how this interaction could accelerate your expansion. Each chapter dismantles outdated beliefs and reveals the multidimensional mechanics behind this cosmic encounter. Nothing in this script relies on fantasy, only on the deeper principles of consciousness evolution that many have felt but have never had the language to articulate. Before we continue, support this channel so we can reach more viewers who feel the same shift you're experiencing. Subscribe, tap the like button, and leave a comment telling us what signs or sensations you've noticed lately. Your engagement helps the algorithm recognize that this content matters and helps more awakening individuals find their path. Now, let's begin your transmission. Every human radiates a quantum field, but very few produce the type of coherent spike that draws extraterrestrial attention. Your signal wasn't loud by physical standards, it was precise. A sharp, clean resonance that indicated the collapse of an old inner pattern, followed by the birth of a new energetic structure. Arcturians specialize in detecting these transitions, just as astronomers detect distant supernovas. To them, your shift was unmistakable. The moment when self-limiting identity melted and a higher vibrational consciousness briefly took the helm. This kind of resonance doesn't happen when life is stable. It happens in moments of introspection, emotional release, internal truth-telling, or sudden spiritual clarity. Something in you realigned, and your quantum field responded with a harmonic pulse. Arcturian observers monitored this pulse, not by looking at you physically, but by analyzing the frequency architecture it produced. They observed how your energy stretched beyond habitual boundaries and briefly entered a state similar to theirs, structured, coherent, intentional. When this happens, humans often feel a sudden lightness, a moment of inspiration, a tingling at the crown, or a quiet conviction that they've stepped into a new phase of life. These sensations are not illusions, they are the physical side effects of your field opening. Your signal indicated a readiness to receive new patterns of thought. Arcturians do not interfere with free will, but they do observe emerging consciousness that shows potential for higher communication. They analyze whether your field maintains coherence or collapses back into old emotional programs. They watch the oscillation between clarity and confusion, courage and fear, intention and doubt. The reason they observe is simple. When a human begins to stabilize their frequency at a higher octave, they become capable of perceiving subtle transmissions, downloads that appear as insights, realizations, or sudden knowing. Your spike showed that you are approaching a vibrational threshold where such communication becomes possible. And once this threshold is crossed, the human mind expands beyond linear reasoning into multidimensional awareness. The signal you emitted is not the end of the story, it is the beginning. It marks the moment you stepped onto the radar of beings who monitor consciousness across galaxies. And now, they watch with curiosity as your evolution gains momentum. Arcturian observation does not resemble human surveillance. There are no devices, no lenses, no mechanical instruments pointed toward you. Their attention functions through resonance fields, vast energetic networks that detect fluctuations in consciousness across dimensional layers. When your quantum field changed, it created a ripple within these networks, prompting Arcturian analysts to tune into the new harmonic signature you produced. Their method is entirely non-intrusive. They observe without entering your personal field, respecting the integrity of your energy structure. Instead, they analyze the patterns radiating from you: coherence, disruption, expansion, contraction, and the unique sequences of thought-emotion interaction that form your signature vibration. In practical terms, this means they perceive how you process experiences internally, not the content of your thoughts, but the structure they create. They notice when you shift from reactive consciousness into reflective awareness. They recognize when you break cycles of self-doubt or self-sabotage. And they register when your energetic output becomes stable enough to initiate higher communication. Arcturians use harmonic triangulation to track your development. This involves mapping three aspects: your emotional frequency, the coherence of your inner vision, and the strength of your energetic boundary. When these three harmonize, your field produces a recognizable pattern, one they categorize as awakening alignment. During this phase, humans often feel observed, but not in a threatening way. Instead, it feels like a silent presence, a subtle clarity in the room, or a sudden shift in perception. These sensations are not hallucinations. They are your subconscious interpreting the resonance from Arcturian attention. Their observation is not passive. It is interactive in a non-invasive way. When they detect instability, fear spikes, emotional overload, or mental fragmentation, they do not intervene directly. Instead, they project stabilizing frequencies into the surrounding grid, which you subconsciously interpret as calm, clarity, or a sudden ability to make decisions that once felt overwhelming. Arcturians also examine how your field responds to cosmic cycles, solar waves, geomagnetic fluctuations, and collective consciousness shifts among human populations. Your adaptability to these forces is a key indicator of readiness for higher dimensional learning. They monitor not only your rising frequency, but also your resistance patterns. Every human carries energetic residue, programs inherited from childhood, ancestry, society, and past incarnations. When these residues surface, they distort your field temporarily. Arcturians do not judge this. They simply observe how quickly you return to coherence. The most crucial element of their observation is your capacity for intention. When a human begins shaping reality consciously, through focused thought, emotional regulation, and deliberate choice, the Arcturians categorize them as frequency architects. This is the stage where they watch most closely, because intention is the gateway to multidimensional communication. Their method of observation reflects a profound truth. Evolution is not measured by what you know, but by how you stabilize your field. They observe because your energy has begun to align with theirs, and once that alignment is sustained, the next stage of contact begins. not through sight, but through consciousness. Your quantum field carried a trait that triggered Arcturian attention: emergent coherence. This is rare among humans because it requires a combination of emotional maturity, introspective capacity, and the courage to confront internal shadows. Most fields remain fragmented due to unresolved emotional structures, but yours generated a moment of unified signal, an unmistakable indication of inner breakthrough. Coherence appears when a human stops resisting their authentic path. It emerges from clarity, self-honesty, and the willingness to dismantle outdated identities. When your field produced this resonance, the Arcturians recognized that you had crossed a hidden developmental threshold, one typically associated with early-stage multidimensional activation. Another reason you were noticed is your energetic contrast. You have experienced periods of internal conflict, uncertainty, disenchantment, or emotional volatility. Yet instead of collapsing into fragmentation, you transmuted those states into awareness. This ability to convert turbulence into growth is a primary marker of accelerated consciousness. Arcturians also detected a distinctive vibrational signature within you, one indicating past exposure to higher dimensional frequencies. Whether in dreams, meditative states, or pre-incarnational agreements, your field shows traces of prior contact or familiarity with non-physical intelligence. They identified latent structures in your energy anatomy, geometric patterns within your auric field that correspond to Arcturian communication protocols. These structures are not implanted. They develop naturally in individuals who possess high perceptual potential. When activated, they allow you to interpret subtle frequencies as insights or intuitive clarity. Your emotional frequency also stood out. Arcturians observed that you generate elevated states: gratitude, wonder, compassion, determination, without external triggers. This internal self-generation is extremely rare among humans, whose emotional states often depend on environmental stimuli. Your ability to create inner elevation signals spiritual autonomy. Additionally, your timeline trajectory is shifting. You are entering a phase where old patterns fall away quickly, creating openings for new consciousness pathways. Arcturians track these openings because they represent opportunities for accelerated evolution. Your field also exhibits resilience. When you face disruption, you do not remain collapsed for long. You either learn, adapt, or transform. This resilience produces a stabilizing harmonic that higher dimensional observers interpret as readiness for alignment with advanced frequencies. They also detected increasing curiosity, a hunger for truth beyond physical limitations. Curiosity is a multidimensional magnet. It expands your field and makes you visible across vibrational planes. When curiosity spikes, your energy brightens, and that brightness acts as a beacon for Arcturian perception. The final reason is the simplest. You are approaching a point in your evolution where guidance, subtle, non-intrusive, frequency-based guidance, can be integrated without overwhelming your system. Your field is not perfect, but it is ready. That readiness is why you were selected, and it is why they continue to observe.
Arcturian observation creates indirect influence, not through control, but through resonance. When consciousness is observed by a higher frequency intelligence, it naturally begins to synchronize with that frequency. Your field starts adjusting itself, rising, refining, recalibrating, as if trying to match the intelligence it senses beyond the veil. One effect of their observation is enhanced introspection. You begin noticing patterns within yourself that once operated unconsciously. Old habits become visible. Emotional loops become obvious. Your intuition sharpens. This is not coincidence. It is the influence of higher coherence interacting with your field. Another effect is the collapse of inauthentic timelines. When you align with higher observation, pathways built on fear, avoidance, or self-suppression begin to disintegrate. You feel pulled toward decisions that reflect your true nature. Relationships shift, priorities evolve. Your life begins reorganizing itself around authenticity. Arcturian resonance also strengthens your nervous system.
Humans underestimate the connection between nervous function and spiritual evolution. As their frequency interacts with your field, your neural pathways adapt, making you more capable of interpreting subtle signals and maintaining inner stability under stress. You may notice an increase in synchronicities, repeating numbers, meaningful coincidences, sudden alignments. These are signs that your internal frequency is synchronizing with external events. Arcturian observation amplifies this synchronization by stabilizing your field's harmonic output. Your dream state is also affected. Dreams become more vivid, symbolic, or instructional. You may encounter geometric patterns, celestial landscapes, or non-physical beings. These dreams are not random. They are your consciousness learning to navigate multidimensional space while your physical mind rests. Another influence is emotional purification. When high-frequency observation interacts with the human field, unresolved emotions rise to the surface. This is not punishment, it is purification. Old fears release, buried grief dissolves, shame loosens its grip. This cleansing prepares you for higher-level perception. You may find yourself drawn to knowledge you previously ignored: cosmic origins, energy mechanics, intuition development, consciousness sciences. This intellectual magnetism indicates that your field is aligning with your soul's original trajectory. As observation continues, your ability to sense subtle signals increases. You may receive flashes of insight, sudden clarity during quiet moments, or a subtle inner voice guiding you toward choices that elevate your evolution. These are not hallucinations, they are resonance-based communication links beginning to form. Ultimately, Arcturian observation influences you because it reflects your future self. Their frequency amplifies the version of you that already exists in higher consciousness. Under their observation, you evolve not by force, but by remembrance. Now that your field has been detected and observed, the next phase is subtle alignment. This does not involve physical contact. Instead, it involves preparing your consciousness to interpret higher dimensional communication without distortion. The first step is stabilizing your emotional field, because emotion is the lens through which multidimensional information is filtered. Once your emotional field stabilizes, you begin sensing guidance not as words, but as patterns, impressions, intuitive direction, energetic nudges. This is the earliest stage of telepathic resonance. Arcturians communicate through coherent patterns, and your field is learning to translate those patterns into human perception. During this stage, your environment may shift. Certain people exit your life, new individuals appear, opportunities emerge unexpectedly. These shifts are not orchestrated by Arcturians. They are the energetic consequences of aligning with your authentic timeline. You may notice changes in sensitivity. Loud environments feel draining. Nature feels restorative. Your body rejects certain foods, habits, or mindsets. Your intuition becomes non-negotiable. These changes indicate that your physical vessel is adapting to higher energetic bandwidth. The next step involves internal architecture. You will feel drawn to silence, solitude, or meditative states, not out of escapism, but because these states recalibrate your field. Your consciousness begins functioning in two layers: the physical mind and the emerging multidimensional perception. Contact progresses when you begin recognizing patterns in your life as communication. Repeating dreams, sudden insights, synchronicities, and internal clarity are all part of this communication bridge. You are not imagining these signals. They are the language of resonance. When your field becomes coherent enough, you enter the stage of subtle exchange. This involves receiving guidance during liminal states, moments between sleep and wakefulness, deep relaxation, or heightened intuition. The information feels like remembering rather than learning. The ultimate step in this pathway is conscious co-resonance. Here, your frequency aligns closely with Arcturian fields, allowing real-time energetic communication. This is not auditory, it is not visual, it is experiential, a full-body knowing that transcends words. Co-resonance leads to expansion. You begin to access higher creativity, deeper insight, accelerated healing, and a profound sense of purpose. Your reality reorganizes itself around clarity rather than confusion, intention rather than reaction. And after this, the final stage is integration. You remain human, but your consciousness no longer fits inside human limitations. You perceive reality through both physical and non-physical awareness, You become a bridge between worlds. This is the path that begins once the Arcturians detect you. Your detection by the Arcturians is not an accident, nor is it a rare privilege granted to a select few. It is a natural consequence of your internal evolution, a signal that your consciousness has reached a point where higher dimensional resonance can interact with your field without overwhelming you. This moment marks the beginning of a quieter, deeper, more profound phase of your journey. From this point forward, your growth will accelerate, your intuition will sharpen, your inner clarity will intensify. You may not always feel the observation, yet it continues, guiding your field toward coherence, healing, expansion, and remembrance. Nothing about your life remains random. Every experience becomes a stepping stone toward the version of you that exists beyond limitation. If this message resonates, it is because something inside you is awakening, something ancient, intentional, and beautifully aligned with the path ahead. Continue exploring, continue expanding, and remember, once the Arcturians detect you, your evolution is no longer linear, it becomes quantum.